see if we got this started. Checking Facebook Live. How you guys doing today? Pardon me, I'm a little bit under the weather today, but we will still get this going because what I want to talk to you about today is living your best life. I've been hearing people say that a lot lately. And it's super vague and like what that means. But what that means to me is, oh wait, Instagram Live too. It's like setting your mind to something and getting it accomplished, right? And, going out through, throughout life and having those goals, setting those goals and then achieving those goals and then setting new, bigger, exciting goals. And this creates a collection of stories, a narrative for your life that ends up being your legacy, the thing that you are remembered for. And everyone wants to be remembered, that's like, why we're here. We're here to have, an impact, do some good in the world, create something new. But we have these ambitions that go unfulfilled. Have you ever had an ambition to, whether it's starting a workout program or it's to, to grow your business or whatever it is. Let me see if it's still working here. And then a week later, nothing's changed. And another week later, nothing has changed. And then you try a little bit and you get distracted and, you put 20% in, or maybe even get to like 90%, but then you don't finish the last 10%. Making the 90% completely irrelevant. I find it interesting too, that it's like the excuses that we come up with that, oh, how hard I'm working, but you just seem like you're not getting there. Like, yeah, I understand you work hard, but it's not like physical labor. Like as technology gets better and better, it becomes easier and easier for us to create. So why is it as technology gets better, we seem to have a worse ability to focus and create things? Or you say like, I don't have any time. And it's also funny how they say like people have, no time anymore and how short their attention spans are when you can binge watch a series on Netflix for like 6 hours, and they say that like in today's day and age, we've got like, a 30-second or 15 seconds attention span. No, we don't. When it comes to Netflix, trust me, it's a lot longer than 15 seconds. But we have these things hold us back in our lives, and they're what I call energy leaks. Okay, so like when you are trying to accomplish something, the brain has a desire. And then when you accomplish that, you get this rush, you get this feeling of, it's called dopamine, okay? So with the dopamine, it's basically like a reward system for your brain to tell you, yeah, keep on doing that, okay? So like we developed this like when we were, hundreds of thousands of years ago, when you had sex, ate food, or like you just like killed a saber-toothed tiger or whatever, you get this rush, just a feeling of accomplishment, and then this like release of dopamine. And it's basically a drug, and it makes you feel amazing. Again, imagine like winning a race or winning the big game or, selling your company or, whatever, show up to that reunion and looking, better than you did in high school. That feeling gives us dopamine, okay? So the bigger the goals we set, the harder it is to get that release because, when your goals are challenging, you don't really get that feeling until you start making some significant progress. Here's the thing. Our body is already addicted to dopamine, and your monkey mind knows exactly where to get it. And where we tend to get it is in all the little simple sugars in life, such as TV, such as alcohol, marijuana, fried foods, refined sugars, what else? Sitting and watching TV or mindless social media, scrolling. And we do it through pornography and masturbation and then we like fill ourselves up with, with caffeine and stuff like that. And all of those things are really simple. They're like brain hacks to get this release of dopamine. But what happens is that dopamine is our driver to accomplish things. And so in order for us to feel satisfied, to keep us moving through the pain, the frustration of trying to create whatever it is that you're trying to do with your life and live your best life, when we fail, we don't get that dopamine rush. In fact, we get some cortisol like released in us, and that starts gunking up the system, making us feel bad. So what we do is at night we just binge on some Netflix, or we go and grab some ice cream or some pizza, or like I'm involved in a little bit of all of these things, eating shitty foods, watching YouTube and staying up way too late, eating too much like dairy and cheese and gluten and fried foods and caffeine. That's my big one, caffeine. Yeah. And alcohol and marijuana. I love me my blunts. And what this does, it gives you a false sense of accomplishment on top of destroying your body. So about a year ago, actually, I think I finished a year ago today. I think so. I did this 100-day monster challenge, where for 100 days, I completely removed alcohol, marijuana, caffeine, artificial sugars, fried foods, dairy, gluten, processed meats, pornography, masturbation, and what was the other one? I think that's the whole list. I should have that written down here somewhere. And I did it because actually my life was going pretty good, and I wanted to challenge myself to do something that terrified me. And what I realized was that when you're not receiving dopamine from these drugs that you have in your life, and your drug can be, it can be outside of this too. Like there are things that we do to avoid our responsibilities and our goals in order for us to feel good. That might be working out for you, and you're abusing working out so you can hide, you can hide from your goals. That might be personal development. I know that happens with a lot of you guys too, where, you're just like, oh, I'm working on myself, when you're working on yourself, but you're not working on like your creations that why you're here. So for 100 days, I removed all of those things from my life. And I noticed, to start, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And the caffeine was the hardest. And what I noticed after that, after about 2 or 3 weeks, is that my brain was looking for dopamine everywhere, wanting to go on YouTube and watch a video, wanting to just like kick back and watch some Hulu, wanting to just get up and grab some pretzels or some chips. And when I wasn't allowed to do that, I started noticing that my brain was like, well, you got to do something that's going to make you happy, because you fiend for it like a drug addict. And so when you put your focus on your day and you plug up all of these energy leaks, okay, what happens is your energy starts flowing freely forward towards that thing that you want, and not spraying by, and giving yourself the attention to TV, food, drugs, booze, porn, whatever. And I found that I was a much more powerful, conscious creator in the things that I was trying to do. So I was walking down the street the other day, actually yesterday, and I was walking to the grocery store, and I kind of felt like my gut talking to me. And it's like when God talks to you, it's a different feeling than when you're just typical normal thoughts. And I got a prompting like, hey, Spence, you got to do this 100-day monster challenge again. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, why? And the main thing is I'm doing a retreat in February and in March. It's called the Invincible Immersion, where I essentially teach you how to upload a new operating system in your mind so you can connect directly to like the depths of you and directly to God, source, the universe, whatever it is. So you can effectively and efficiently create in any direction that you want. Not only create new things, but heal like past traumas and childhood wounds and stuff like that. And essentially, giving your brain a complete new upgraded operating system. So the applications of all of the gifts that you have, are amplified and they run smoother, and all of the kind of weaknesses and like discrepancies that you have in your character or in your habits are like kind of tightened up and completely managed. And I was working on the content for or the curriculum for this immersion. And the first thing was like, what is your audacious goal or audacious ambition? What is your audacious ambition? And I started thinking about it, and I like goals that are terrifying. I like goals that people doubt. I like goals that even I doubt. I like goals that people question. I like goals that when I look at the end goal, and even if I can see that clearly, the path, I can't see clearly. And navigating through the world and as you're trying to achieve these goals requires you to like engage with yourself. And when you're engaging in all of those other things, it really is a distraction from the silence in your own mind. And when you are forced to sit with your own mind without having headphones in, without stuffing your face all the time, without smoking, drinking, all that stuff, you're really forced to listen to that narrative, that voice inside of you that gives you all the wisdom that is required in order for you to have the thing that you want. And I remembered it was a proverb or a story about some guru. Someone will probably correct me on who it actually was, but guru on top of a mountain. This family of 3 came by, waiting for him hours and hours in line. And they finally get up to him. They say to the guru, like, "Hey, my son is eating a ton of sugar, and we want him to stop. It's really affecting his health. What type of like wisdom can you give him to get him to stop eating sugar?" And he's like, "Come back in 2 weeks." So they go back, or they leave. They come back in 2 weeks, and they're like, "Hey, remember us? Our son is really struggling with his consumption of sugar, and you told us to come back in 2 weeks, and so yeah, we're here. So what's the advice?" And he looked at the kid, and he's like, "Stop eating sugar." And they're like, "That's it? That's it?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, why did you have to take 2 weeks?" He goes, "I had to stop eating sugar." And because transformation in coaching and in mentoring doesn't come from information. It comes from demonstration. And so like I thought to myself, like, if I'm going to be showing up and helping people take a stand for like the big vision in their life, and to battle their demons, and to improve their their focus and their access to their wisdom, what if they want to go deeper than I have been willing to go in these past few months? At that point, I just become information and no longer demonstration. And so, in doing these like really deep immersive retreats, excuse me, I'm also sick, which has inspired this as well. I need to be better. So what I thought is like, if someone is coming in and they're more audacious than I am with their goals, well then I only can offer a perspective and not a demonstration of how do you stay focused when your brain is screaming at you to go get your drugs, right? And so I felt really called to just level up in my life, and to take 100 days to remove those things from my life. So when I incorporate those back into my life, I can build a new relationship with them. And that's something that happened with, the last time that I did the what's it called? The 100-day monster challenge. I had a whole new relationship to those substances. And so I feel like, if things start to slip a little bit, you need to kind of get back into it and have kind of like a little breakup with your addictions, with your drugs. And so when you come back, your palate has kind of been resensitized, your dopamine has been resensitized, and you can incorporate those things into your life in a new healthy way. Now, in my Invincible training, like the group, like the online course that I do, we would do 14-day challenges where we would choose like, what's one thing that's standing in your way from like showing up and fully being yourself, or that's like pulling away from your focus, or something that you're spending way too much time doing, something that's destroying your health. Like, what's one habit you can change in order for you to for it to have the biggest positive impact on your life, and then make a 14-day commitment to make that change. And so what I want to encourage you guys to do is, it doesn't have to be all the things that I stated. I understand that what I'm doing is a little bit extreme. It's my style, but extreme nonetheless. And choose something. It could be one thing. It could just be alcohol. It could just be TV. It could be shit. I don't know what you're addicted to. I don't know what pathways of dopamine that you're taking to get your fix. So, but yeah, I want to encourage you, like, what's something audacious you can do to build a new relationship to a habit that isn't serving you? And again, like, this is what I'm saying too. Like, people tend to get discipline when their toes are up to the line of like life and death. Okay. You're addicted to heroin and it's like, holy shit, you need some willpower like right now. Or maybe you have like a degenerative disease like cancer or heart disease. And it's like, well, shit, you really got to get your act together. You really need to eat well. I've seen people go through that and it's brutal. And so when you test your discipline like this strengthens your discipline muscles and your focus muscles. And when you do that, like, after the last 100-day monster challenge, I was like, okay, if I got cancer and I had to like go on a really strict diet and remove all of these things to make myself well, I absolutely could do it because I didn't have cancer. So it wasn't that pressing, but I was still able to follow through in my integrity to, commit and to do this. And so, that's another huge benefit to it as well. And I'll be sharing with you guys over the next 100 days about my experience and the benefits to all of this. But the question is, then I got to take off. The question is like, what is a habit that you have or something that you have in your life that if you removed, it would give you way more time, way more money, way more focus, way more energy, way more discipline? Like, what is that? And then are you bold enough to make a commitment? Okay. So 2 things you got to answer. 1, what is it that you want to give up? What is it that you want a new relationship to? Okay. It could be one thing. It could be all the things. Okay. And then 2, what's your time commitment? I suggest a minimum of 14 days because if you that's the time it takes to start to change a habit. They say it's like 21 days, but if you're doing good mental work and some like conscious rewiring, only takes 14 days or really like 7 days. So, yeah, what do you want a new relationship with? How is this thing affecting you? And how long do you want to commit to the absence of this little dopamine drug dealer in your life? So write that in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you guys in other videos. Follow my Instagram, I see you. Follow my Instagram if you want like day-to-day updates of how I'm doing, because there's definitely going to be some days that I am like just pissed off out of my mind. I mean, even right now, I'm low energy, relatively speaking, to the way that I usually show up. I think it's because I haven't had any caffeine today. Actually, I think it's definitely that, but also because I got the sniffles too. So, all right, guys, that is all that I got for you today. Until next time, I'm out.